Lochtegate. At a news conference, Brazilian authorities saying there was no robbery. The swimmers were not victims. There was no violence on the swimmers. What a situation. Joining me now, Christy Kunzig, Jessica Tarloff, and Alex Smith. Alex, I'll go to you first. Do you think, by any chance, that the Brazilian authorities overreacted to this situation? What do you think?
You know, it is a story that is just so bizarre. I'm convinced that Ryan Lochte is going to come out and say that he's actually a 2016 presidential contender at this point, given the events that have gone on. I think that this is a situation that has been so confusing and so overhyped because of the situation that's been going on in Rio prior to the Olympics. I mean, you had a situation where people were concerned about Zika, they were concerned about crime. So it's perhaps a circumstance where the police sort of overreacted as a result of sort of that sensitivity, and where perhaps the swimmers felt like they needed to get away with a little bit more given those circumstances.
Okay, Christy, you are a lawyer. I'm not going to take you up on that. But, look, these were young men out on the town. They were drunk. Everybody knows it. They did something stupid and then lied about it.
Right.
I mean, do you think we're overreacting to that?
I think we're not overreacting. I think it's
No,
a little...
but the Brazilian authorities.
Right, I think they are absolutely overreacting. And I think that coming from an American legal standpoint, I mean, their American rights are being violated, which, of course, the Brazilian authorities aren't going to care about. Look at some of these rights that we take for granted every day. The fact that there was no crime committed, and yet they're still being detained.
But wait a second. Don't we have to consider the impact of the charges that the swimmers made about security in Brazil? It was a huge impact on Brazil. The Olympics and Rio, they got a real black eye from this.
Definitely.
Should we take that into consideration?
I think that we should. I do think there has been an overreaction, but I do understand why the Brazilian authorities are upset about this. And we were talking about before we came on, you know, there were reports that there were mutilated coming up in the water near the volleyball courts. I mean, Rio has taken a lot of flack throughout this for the conditions. And I think that when our star swimmers come out there and they say something like this, they're going to get hot and bothered about it. But I would say that they should probably back off of this, not just because Ryan Lochte's endorsement deals, but if there wasn't anything illegal done, if there was no police report filed, and that's what I understand is the real issue here, that's the only thing that they could be charged for, filing a false police report. So there's defamation issues, but I think it's a
Hold on a second. Alexandra, come back in again for a second, because the Rio police chief at the press conference this afternoon said, we don't see any necessity for them, the three swimmers, to stay. Once we've heard their testimony, that's true for all three of them, they're free to go. That's not exactly making a big deal out of it. They can leave.
Yeah, I mean, it surely invokes some issues pertaining to international law and sovereignty here. And, you know, I have to agree that if you know, it seems like a relatively minor crime and that our American swimmers should be allowed to go here. You know, it seems like overall the Olympics went off without many major incidents happening. And so I think that just by sort of dragging this out, it ruins what was otherwise a pretty good show.
All right, Christy, shall we not drag it out, bring them home, and forget about it?
Bring them home, forget about it. They didn't do anything wrong, and there's nothing to charge them.
well, that makes there's a little drunk disorderly problem there. But
But being stupid is not
and they lied on national television, which is a thing.
I mean,
Let's
you
not
can't
forget
defame a country. You can't do it.
It's not going to end well for Brazil over this, but it doesn't mean that our swimmers are not at fault. They are, and they shouldn't have done it.
Good last words. All right,
Okay.
Jessica, Christy, Alexandra, all three of you, thank you very much for joining us. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not leading in the poll.